Good morning. It's Saturday, November 29th, 2025. My name is Terry Morgan. We are here to talk about martial arts philosophy. I'm fill in a little bit some of the things that I've been doing, some of the things I'm going to do that are connected to what we're doing in these classes. And we're going to look at this whole idea of how do we put what we're learning into context? What do I do with this? Just it's only good for whatever it is we're doing in practice? No, it's not. And I'm also going to talk a little bit about the idea of expectations. What are the expectations that we have when we start learning, when we're going into practice? What do we expect? What do we think we're going to do? That whole idea of expectations is part of what I've talked about in the context of goals. What am I going to do next? Right? I'm going to talk a little bit about that too today. I have several things that I'm working on. So, first, in connection with the classes that we have, particularly classes on last Thursday and Friday that did not happen, I have been reworking the images in our Qigong book to print more clearly and with better resolution, better color. That will be available. Those that new the new stuff will all be available Monday. It's going up on Amazon today, and as soon as they approve it, then it'll be available. The books are available now. Wudang Qigong is available now. It's this. This is the edition that I'm talking about. And with this, I have not made any changes that you would notice directly. But if you compare side by side, the quality of the images is better. It is. And this is not bad. Okay, I'm happy with this. I was very happy with this when we published it. The same with the interior images with Professor Liu doing movements. The images that you see are the same. They did not change. What's changed is the way that I set up the files so the images have better quality for the print version. All right, the images that we don't have an electronic version of this. The images that I have up on the website are good. I may change them to these new ones so that that quality is there. I'm going to look at it. We'll see what we should have on the web and what we should have for print are not the same. They're different media. And as I think about that, it's one of the kinds of things that we want to pay attention to in our studies. Tai Chi is not Bagua. A print book is not a website. A video, right, is not Xingyi. Those distinctions and what belongs with what. That's how we connect it. In working through the images, there are over 140 images in this book. That's a lot of pictures. It's a lot to make sure that their sizing is consistent, that the colors are as best as we can get, that there's the sequence is in the correct position. There are all sorts of things that went into my being able to do what I just did with those images. One of the things that's very important that went into it was my own study. I I can look at the pictures and I can know which set it is. I just, here's a bunch of pictures. What goes where? I can do that because I practiced. And I know, well, this is this, and this goes here, and this goes here. There were a couple of places where I had to double check because the movements were the same. At the beginning, breathe in, breathe out. That's the same. The initial opening. Stand straight, feet together, pull up through the crown of the head. Breathe in. Sink. I'm on my right leg, sink into the right leg. Open the left, place the heel, turn the foot, shift left, pull in the right, place the heel, turn the foot, center. Breathe in, and breathe out. The first set, once we open, hands come here, breathe in, breathe out. For all of the other sets, I take that back. For most of the other sets, we have this simple opening, right? Open here. Both palms up, palms pressed down. That repetition in human movement will be different every time. There'll be a little bit of a difference every time. No matter how consistently I do each movement, there will be a little bit of difference. That is part of the art. That is part of how we develop the art. And it's normal. We're human. It's going to be just a little bit different every time. If I record something and you play it back, or I play it back, it's going to be the same every time. Because that recording is the same every time. As a human, I don't do things the same every time. So when I'm looking at what's going on in the images, I'm looking at how Professor Liu was showing which movement is which and how the movement can be done as part of his explanation. Each time he gave the same explanation. Each time he did the same move, but it was just a little tiny bit different. So I have to look at that. Some places we did use the same image. I didn't swap them out. I just said, all right, this is fine. This is the opening. This is what we're going to do. There are so many places that we had an opportunity, or still have, an opportunity to refine the presentation of the forms so that there could be more of the distinct parts of movement. This is the same. Breathe in, breathe out, right? Shift, I'm going to push, go here, right? And pull in, come back to center and breathe in, breathe out, palms up, turning palm, come back, right? Very similar, but different. As I look at some of the more advanced forms, Red Phoenix flies into the sun. That concept of smooth movement, connected movement, and placement that I start with right here. Right here. It's right at the beginning. If I do that correctly, if I pay attention to centering here, when I move into something that's more complicated, particularly when I'm on one leg, right? Dragon and tiger joined together. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Yeah, I was a little off on my right leg, so the left, I was balanced. I had to come down quickly. That, I have to pay attention to that. If I don't, I'm never going to be able to correct it. So what happened? Foot placement, balance placement. I shifted too far over this way too fast, and that threw me off. I tried to correct it, and it threw me off more. It all happens really fast. Knowing that, I know what this movement is. I'm here. Dragon and tiger join together. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. And better. I'm still wobbly on this side. I shouldn't be. I didn't wobble that time. What did I do? What did I do? What did I change? Paid attention to the root in my supporting leg. Solid. Put it down and place it hold. Set the leg. Open through the back. Keep the hip open and aligned through the shoulder all the way down to the foot. Keep the weight through the root, well placed through the foot, so that there's a solid support for what you're doing with the rest of the move. This type of move, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, with expectations and all sorts of things. This type of move, where we're doing something that's more complex, if we start with, and this is the whole part of this, is if we start with, it's not quite solid, it's never going to be solid. First 2 times, my foot was not well placed. It was not. My weight was kind of messed up. Last time I did it, I corrected all of that. And I know that ain't what's going to happen. This is going to happen. Being able to do that is one of my goals. Has been one of my goals since forever. The skill comes from knowing what you have to do, knowing what you're doing, and practice. There's nothing else. It's not magic. It's knowing what you're doing and practice. My expectation, I've talked about it, my expectation is that yes, I can do this move. I can. I've talked about, I think I talked about my being able to do a flying spinning jump kick. Not going to happen. Never going to be able to do that because I'm never going to work at it. It's not going to happen. But being able to do many of the other things that we do, in many of the things that I have done in class, in competition, in practice, in teaching, all of that is something that I continue to do to this day. And it's part of why it's both hands, it's yin and yang, right? If I didn't want to do what I do, I wouldn't do it. I'm doing it that gives me the skill and development to create more, to get better, to achieve my goals. If I'm not practicing, if I don't practice, none of that happens, right? If I do practice, my practice can lead me into things that I may not have thought about, I may not have anticipated, but it could be pretty good actually. There's a lot of benefit that comes from developing the placement, balance, concentration, focus that translates into being able to do other things. Basic stretch, and we're going to do a little bit of leg work this morning. Hand circle to the front, back around to both sides, up along the center line. Reach out over the legs, bend the knees. I did some things yesterday, and my hips are really sore. So I need to stretch. And out over the legs again. And we're going to keep going. We're going to do this 6 times instead of 3 for today. Again. Oh, stretch way up and reach out. Keep the shoulders down. Roll up through the back. Last time, reach out. Roll up. Fingertips reach up. Elbows drop down, wrists, hands return to your sides. All right, this idea of goals and expectations. So I talked a little bit about how practice and what we're doing in practice, the concentration, the ability to focus, the paying attention to the smaller details. All of this contributes to everything else that we do. That idea is, again, one of my goals. I want to pay attention to that detail. I want to understand how I can get better at whatever it is I'm doing. That goal is more than just my practice in the martial arts, but it is fundamental to my practice. I want to get better. Just now, we're stretching, right? And I'm going to do some leg sets here because my legs are still stiff. That I want to do this because I will feel better after I do it. I want to practice because I want better skills in all of the basic things that I do. Everything. Pretty much everything. And I want to explore these special skills that come with martial arts practice. Not dance, not calisthenics, not just, go do whatever. There's the underlying development that we must pay attention to. If we don't, it's dance, it's something else. It's particularly with qigong. If we are not paying attention to the internal work, it's not qigong. If you're not paying attention to the breathing and the internal breath, so the external breath, breathe in, breathe out, right? If you're not paying attention to that, if you're not paying attention to the inner breath, the qi, and how you're circulating that or what you're doing with it, if anything, right? Just cultivating it in the lower dantian is fine. That is one type of practice. If that element is not present in the practice. It's not Qigong, it's something else. That idea, understanding what this is, what are we doing? What belongs with this practice, what doesn't? What are my goals for this practice? What do I want to achieve? What am I going to get out of this? Right? What's my takeaway? Part of that thinking is, what's my takeaway? What am I going to get? Well, here's a menu, and I want this one, and I want this one, I want this one, and I'm going to learn these things, right? No. No. If someone comes to me and says, I want to learn this advanced application, I want to learn this set, I want to learn the two-person set for Shingy's 5 elements. Entering, leaving, right? That's the first part of the 5 elements linking form. In order to do that, I have to know the 5 elements. So if you come to me and you say, I want to learn the 5 elements linking form, you're going to start with the 5 elements. Actually, you're not going to start with 5 elements, you're going to start with Santibu. Right here. Being able to hit that posture and stay there. Again, each time I do it, it'll be just a little tiny bit different, but it's going to be very close. I don't fudge much on that one. I spent too much time in this stance. I know exactly where it is. That's part of what I learned. I didn't expect to learn that. When I was taught Santibu, I was told, this is what you're practicing, this is what you're doing. But I didn't expect to learn that the more I stand there, the more I would hold that posture, the easier it would be to hit it again and again and again. It's a side effect. It's a bonus for what I started to learn, what I was paying attention to, which was, well, this back foot is at 45, and this one is 2.5 in front of me, and this is, posture, here's the posture. I learned the posture. My goal was to learn the posture. I got more than what I wanted out of it. I did. All of my Shingy methods have foundation in Santibu. So if somebody comes and says, I want to learn the advanced stuff, okay, Santibu, here you go. 5 minutes. 2.5 on each side is okay. Start with that. Won't happen. That foundation is essential. It must happen. The development that we achieve by focusing on those foundations is greater than what we can possibly achieve if we try and skip over it. Nobody builds a 20-story high-rise building without considering the foundations for the building. The same in our training, the same in our expectations, the same in our goals. If we don't have the foundations, it's not going to happen. So my showing up with an expectation that I'm going to learn the advanced stuff just because I walked in the door, I'm I've learned all these other things. I can walk into the advanced class and do everything, right? The gap between not having studied and working at an advanced level is too great. It's not humanly possible. Okay, it's not human to be able to skip. So some things that we learn in practice, we develop them, and then we can do more with them. Some things we learn in practice, we may not use it right away, but as we develop our skills, as we develop that practice, we find, oh, that's where that is. Okay. In Bagua, the turning through the waist, right here, all of the turning here, and being able to stabilize the lower body is foundation for what we're doing in Bagua. Right? If my lower body isn't stable, I can't do anything with my upper body. It doesn't work. If my lower body is stable, I can use what I'm doing with reasonable force. I'm looking for my direction here. I can go that way, I go this way. Um, if I'm not grounded, if I'm not placed, I can't do that. Right? No, oh boy, am I leaning in that? Not leaning. Right? What's the difference? I make it obvious so you can see it. But this much is what we're talking about. If I lean back this much, I'm off balance. This is better. I dropped my hip, lowered my chest. I didn't drop it. I'm not sunken chest, right? But I'm not sticking this out either. It's here. Nice, rounded back, well placed hands. I held that position too. I've worked on that. This idea, perfecting the movement, being able to do the foundation movements reliably with force, with good placement, with the character that belongs to the forms. My Tai Chi forms should not look like my Xingyi forms. My Xingyi forms should not look like my Bagua forms. They shouldn't. Distinguishing, looking at what my goals are. I used to, yeah, still do. Let me how it says. I used to be able to keep my leg level at about this height. Yeah, and it goes like that. I can't do that today. I can get kind of close. I can still do an elevated kick, but it's not, I haven't practiced. Some of the practice that I used to do, some of the stretches that I used to do, I haven't been doing. So my body is telling me, hey, I'm not ready for that yet, right? So in Yang style Tai Chi, we have this. In bringing up the leg, right? I have to support everything on the left. Right leg has to come up and hold as I extend it and come around, come back through, and come out. I was off balance. I was there, but it was not well balanced. It was not well placed, and I could not execute any force through any of that. I was struggling to keep my leg up. I was struggling to keep my balance. I was struggling to keep my center. Practice. I didn't practice. I didn't practice. In working with, let's say, with Xing Yi, Wudang's 3 basic methods, dragon step. Where's my leg? My leg should be at the hip level. Yep, pretty much. Can I stick it out there and hold it there? Yeah, no. Will it go there? Yes. Will it stay there? No. If I want it to stay there, I have to work at it. I have to pay attention to that. If I want to just extend my leg with force, right there. That development, that goal, what do I want to be able to do? In this particular move, it is not required to sustain the leg. You want to try a little bit because it builds strength, but it's not required. The more important requirement is paying attention to what's going on in the move. So as I circle here, this fist comes out with the leg, hands come over and split down. Presses out, this pulls back. That coordination through the waist, right, is part of what we want to develop. We use it differently in Bagua. Turn. Turn. That usage changes. Tai Chi. Hold the ball. Depending on what move we're doing, what system we're paying attention to. Yang style Tai Chi, hold the ball. Wudang style Tai Chi, hold the ball. A little bit smaller. Should be. Not much. A little bit. Differences in the characteristics of the movement, differences in the way that we do the movement, differences in how we practice generally are all part of how we develop what we're doing. Our goals for that. What do I want to do? What am I practicing for? I'm practicing for me mostly because I wanted to learn this. That's where I started. That sense of, I went to competition. I wanted to do all sorts of things that came out of my practice. But I wanted to learn. I wanted to practice. I wanted to discover what I didn't already know. That led me to all sorts of things that came out of that practice that I never expected. I didn't start learning Tai Chi with the expectation that I was going to be an international champion and spend 30 years traveling between the US and China. I didn't expect that. I didn't start with that. It happened, but I didn't start with that. I started with, I want to learn, I want to explore this art. I want to find out how I can develop my skills in this art. The more I learn, the more I wanted to learn. And I had the good fortune to have teachers who were willing to teach me. I also had a curiosity that, excuse me, I also had a curiosity that gave me the determination, I guess is a good word, to keep going. So I'm still here. That determination that I still want to learn, that there's more that I could learn, that I want to keep exploring all of the possibilities. That's my goal. What's yours? Thank you for being here this morning. I appreciate your time. I'll be back. Bye.